There is one Bundesliga striker currently topping the European goal-scoring charts, beating the likes of Lautaro Martinez, Erling Haaland, and even Bundesliga rival Harry Kane. He has more goals than 11 Premier League teams have so far this season, including the likes of Manchester United and Chelsea. And it's looking like at the moment he might lead Stuttgart to European football for the first time in 10 years. Considering that they nearly got relegated last season is pretty insane. But who is he? Giving you my best French pronunciation. This is Serhou Guirassy. Apart from having one of the nicest names to pronounce in European football, he also happens to be a fantastic striker. He is a 27-year-old Guinean international, currently playing for Stuttgart, signed from Rennes in the summer after spending a season on loan at Stuttgart the year before. He cost Stuttgart just €9 million. To give that context, that is a tenth of the price that Bayern Munich paid for Harry Kane. And he has scored a few more goals than Harry Kane has this season. He's currently putting Stuttgart second in the Bundesliga. That's 1 point behind Bayern Leverkusen, and obviously above Bayern Munich and Dortmund. He scored another hat-trick at the weekend in Stuttgart's 3-1 win over Wolfsburg, putting him at 13 goals from 7 matches so far this season. To give that context, he's beaten Robert Lewandowski's record for this point in the season when he scored 43 goals in the Bundesliga. Stuttgart had a very poor season last season, finishing in the relegation playoffs, which is 16th in the Bundesliga. This meant that they had to play third place in the second Bundesliga, Hamburg in this case, and had to beat them over 2 legs, which they thankfully did. However, over the summer, Stuttgart sold a lot of key players, including Wataru Endo, who went to Liverpool for €20 million and was their captain last season, Stavros Mavropanos, great name, who went to West Ham for €20 million, and Borna Sosa, who was one of their main creators last year, who went to Ajax for €8 million. We can see Sosa's FBref stats here, and as you can see, he definitely was one of the most creative players in Europe last season. Especially for a left-back, you can see the assists, the shot-creating actions, and the progressive passes that he had last season. You'd imagine that Stuttgart would really struggle to recreate that and to create the number of chances they have for Guirassy, but that is completely not the case. Stuttgart have been very impressive so far this season. They've won all but one game, which they lost to Leipzig 5-1, but the XG was 1.76 to Leipzig to 1.13 to Stuttgart, which shows a lot tighter than the scoreline. The game was a lot tighter than the scoreline might suggest. Stuttgart generally are playing very exciting and tactically interesting football under a young German coach called Sebastian Hoeneß. Now he is the nephew of Bayern main man Uli Hoeneß and has been linked a little bit with a Bayern job in the future. He's a very interesting manager who through his tactics often enables Guirassy to receive in half spaces from either winger in their 4-2-3-1 setup, and they're really good at inviting the press from their goalkeeper and their centre-backs and creating artificial transitions to really utilise the wingers in 1v1 situations on either side. Other players in the team are performing really well, the likes of Enzo Milo, summer signing from Hoffenheim, Angelo Stiller, and Chris Führich, who has just been called up to play for Germany for the first time, and that really highlights that not just Guirassy has been carrying this Stuttgart team, but there have been a couple of other factors. But Guirassy has really been scoring some pretty insane goals, and the stats behind his scoring run so far this season are pretty crazy. So to give context, Guirassy last season scored 11 goals in 22 games, and that was the highest tally of his career so far. He has already beaten that in 7 games so far this season. He started out at Laval in Ligue 2 and has played for the likes of Lille, Cologne, Amiens and Rennes before moving to Stuttgart originally on loan last season and then moving in the summer from Rennes for €9 million. So he's currently scoring 1.91 goals per 90. That's the 13 and 7. Very close to nearly 2 goals a game. In comparison, Harry Kane, who cost 10 times the price in the summer, is scoring at 1.21 per 90, so that's 8 in 7. That's not a dish on Harry Kane, but you could buy 10 Guirassys and still have 5 million left over, which I'm sure the people of Stuttgart would like to use for a significant number of Steins. To contextualise this performance even further, Lewandowski's best season with Bayern, he scored 41 goals in 29 games. That's 1.5 goals per 90. Based on per 90 goals, Guirassy would score nearly 65 goals in the Bundesliga alone. But obviously that's quite unlikely to continue. He's scoring quite a way above his XG at the moment. But if you base it on his XG per 90, he would be on track for 23 goals the rest of this season. That's just one shy of Stuttgart's all-time Bundesliga record, which was by Mario Gomez, where they finished 3rd in the Bundesliga in 08-09. So we're now going to take a look at how well he has been playing this season and a few of the strengths that have been behind a lot of the goals that he scored. So these goals that we're about to see really highlights how Guirassy at 6'2" is very adept in a lot of different scenarios, both with his link-up play, his touch and his finishing, and how well he has been performing this season. So this first goal here comes in from Führich, the man who's just been called up by Germany for the first time. He plays the ball in behind. Guirassy is very, very aware of this centre-back here for Wolfsburg, not looking at the ball, very concerned with Führich, and he runs off him in behind. Now the ball gets played through, Guirassy runs on, the centre-back comes to press him, the goalkeeper's coming out. He's very relaxed in these situations, as we'll see in a couple of the other goals. Takes his time and is very adept in these scenarios. So he takes the ball around both of them and finishes really nicely into the back of the net, showing how his touch is just immaculate in these situations and has been so far this season. In this next goal is the first of 3 that he scored against Darmstadt at the start of the season. This shows his link-up play very, very nicely. So this ball gets played into him, onto his chest. He controls it down very, very nicely, down into his feet. And you can see here that he's touch tight against one of the defenders. He likes to do this a lot, pinning the defender, kind of Lukaku style that we saw when in his prime days at Everton. But then he pins this man. This second defender here, very concerned with this. You can see that his centre-back partner is struggling. So he comes in, he presses him, and Guirassy managed to play the ball past both of them. You can see it's gone straight through his legs, and this ball gets played to Milo here, who finishes very nicely into the far corner. This next one is probably one of the best goals that he scored this season. So the ball gets played into him here. As you can see, he has 3 defenders very concerned with him. And the ball comes into him and he turns. And this guy here, I have no idea where he's going, what he's doing. He's just kind of staring, having a great time. And he's about to witness an absolute thunderbolt. So Guirassy turns the other defender, moves into this area, and unleashes an absolute rocket into this top right-hand corner. And it shows how he's been finishing really difficult chances from a load of different areas across the pitch. And this next goal really highlights again how good he is at running off defenders. This ball gets played through into this area. Guirassy runs onto it and plays a delightful chip over the top of the goalkeeper. It's the chip of a man with a lot of confidence, and you know, when you're scoring this many goals at the start of a Bundesliga season, you're going to have that. But it's just an amazing finish. Now Stuttgart like to create similar chances to this, where Guirassy is in these half spaces. So you can see Stuttgart like to create opportunities where Guirassy can be in these areas to run off either side of the centre back, and in this occasion, very much highlights Guirassy's strengths with the ball at his feet. So this ball gets played through into this area. Guirassy is very much pressed by the defenders, and he takes this ball and he scoops it around this guy, who gets absolutely left for dead. No idea where he's going, doesn't even know where he is, wants to see his kids, and this ball gets pumped into that left bottom hand corner, and it's a great finish, and it really shows how good he is with the ball at his feet and how impressive he has been with his dribbling capabilities. For a man of such height and very lanky in his body type, how well he has been performing for Stuttgart, particularly in these scenarios where it's been very tight, defenders pressing him, and very confident with the ball at his feet. And this final goal really highlights Guirassy's movement on the counter, on the transition this season. So you can see here, we've got the ball on the left-hand side. Obviously, Stuttgart are on the transition because all these players here are chasing back. All the defenders chasing back. Now, Guirassy spots that this centre-back on the left-hand side here, in this next clip, is very, very concerned with where he is. So this centre-back is looking for him. He's not there, so he assumes that he's on that left-hand side. But Guirassy makes this darting run, originally curves from here, makes this darting run inside. The ball gets played across the front of these defenders. This bloke doesn't really have a clue what's going on, and Guirassy finishes really nicely into the goal. And it really shows how well a man of such height, how well he moves and the pace that he uses in these scenarios to run off the back of these defenders and to really utilise the transitions that Stuttgart do create in the way that they play, and how they've been really working to utilise his strengths and why he scored so many goals so far this season. So we've seen Guirassy finish from every possible angle in every possible way, but will this run continue, and if so, where might Stuttgart finish by the end of the season? So Guirassy has shown throughout scoring in all of these games that he can score against almost any opponent in the Bundesliga. He even scored in that 5-1 loss to Leipzig. They have every chance, if they continue to create the service for Guirassy and the tactical plans that Hoeneß has continue to work, that they can at least challenge for this European football. A year on from almost being relegated to the second Bundesliga is really impressive, and it really highlights how well Hoeneß is doing in creating these chances for Guirassy that we've seen. And we've mentioned that he's overperforming his XG by about 0.28 per 90, but I'm still convinced, and I imagine you are, that from what we've seen of him, that he can continue to score, Not necessarily at the same rate, because obviously he'll break about every single goal scoring record of all time. But he can definitely continue to at least score 25 goals, beat Stuttgart's Bundesliga record, and continue to carry them on to hopefully Europe. But from what I've seen, Stuttgart and Guirassy are unbelievably fun to watch, and hopefully in December when they play Bayern, they'll give them a right go, and Guirassy can hopefully make things exciting for the rest of the Bundesliga season. If he can continue to score at this sort of level, the transfer links that I've seen to Real Madrid and even Nottingham Forest might happen if he's a very, very lucky boy. But yeah, if you get the chance to see Stuttgart the rest of this season, I recommend you give him a watch. Guirassy is so much fun, and I've really enjoyed looking at him for this video. But yeah, if you've enjoyed it, let me know. Subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next one.